A few of you might recognize what this part is, and a few of you may know how badly I've been looking for one of these, and I've finally acquired one. Big shout out to Eagle Dock out in Illinois for setting me up on finding this one. My family recently went on a vacation out west, and they brought back this 2290 front axle with casting, which is good because mine is broken right along here. And the only thing I got to do with this one, I got to check on the cylinder, make sure it works, everything looks good. And there's 4 rusted off bolts here that hold the, I believe, the radiator assembly on. I got to get those cleaned out, either weld a nut on them, back them out with the impact, or drill them and retap them. But there's that, which means if it ever quits raining, which it hasn't managed to do for more than about 3.5 days, we can get back on that project. Hopefully we have time to do first cut hay first, and the guy who's placed it at, hopefully he can get his first cut hay done, because we have to drive across this field to get there. Got some other treasures while they were out there too. Let's go take a look. Here's one of them. If you know, you know. That is a case cast iron nose. So that fits the very, very earliest 970, 1070, 1170. It was an option, I believe. I don't know if it was a buyer option or it's just they made a short number of them, and when they were gone, they were gone. But 9, 10, 1170 could have had a cast iron nose cone instead of a fiberglass one. 7s and 8s for some reason never did, and like the 12, 13, 15s never did, because there weren't very many of them built in late 69, early 70. But we picked up one of these, and my grandfather's 970 needs it bad. Now it needs a motor and some other things fixed rather bad as well, but we'll get to that another day. And we got a bunch of wheel weights. I believe these are 1070 weights. 1, 2, 3, 4 of those. These, our 1030 has a set of these on it, but they will fit on anything that those other square ones will. Which is almost all the case centers, for other than the Wheatland tractors, from like the DCs and SCs clear up through, I think, the early Magnums, with the exception of if you had specialty wheel centers, they would all fit. Except for like the LA's 900, 930 Wheatlands, they didn't fit the 3-bolt on there. And then these, I believe, were for an SC or a DC. So we got 2 of those, 2 of these great big ones, and I just bought a set of these at auction this spring as well. And our 1030 already has a set on it, so we have 3 sets of those now. And there's 4 of these. So this will make tractor pulling go a little better. Maybe we can get the 400 up to 8,500 this year. We'll have to see if my bolts are long enough to get us there, or if we'll have to find longer bolts to bolt these together, or I may have to bolt from the outer bolts on. I don't know. We'll see. But big thanks to Eagle Dock for helping me find that axle, and we happened to pick these up while we were out there too. And hopefully we'll be back on the 2290 here shortly, but I don't know if it'll ever quit raining. Alright guys, so today we have the 2290 front axle that's going to be going on the tractor. And I'm going to go through and take a tap and show you guys some tricks for tapping holes, or cleaning out holes. So I'm going to go through, clean out all the holes on the subframe, clean out all the holes for the hubs, pack the wheel bearings, and there's some broken off or cut off bolts up here that held the cooling package on. I'm going to weld some nuts on those, and hopefully they'll back out with welded nuts on them. They look like they were just cut, not broken, but they've been sitting outside for a while. So we're going to take a look at that, so we can be one step closer to getting this 2290 back on its wheels and driven home. A bunch of these holes are 3/4 10, which is 3/4 coarse thread. So what I've got here is I've got a 3/4 10 tap. I stuck some grease on it because cast iron doesn't like oil. And what I mean by cast iron not liking oil, if you drill or tap cast iron with regular cutting oil or anything like that, it will turn into kind of a lapping compound. And while you're drilling or tapping it, it will turn into the lapping compound, and instead of cutting, it'll just kind of rub its way through it. It'll act like a bunch of little ball bearings in there, and it won't want to cut. It'll just kind of try to burn its way through when you're drilling. Most of the pieces that I'm going to be working on today, and all of them that are getting tapped, I believe are cast iron. This is cast iron for sure. The hubs, I'm pretty sure, cast iron, although they appear as though they're fine thread, so I'll have to figure out what size those are. Most of them are 3/4. So I have the tap. Another cool thing for cleaning out holes. Most taps correspond with a square drive or 8-point socket. So this 3/4 10 fits a 7/16 square drive. Boom, there's that. And then I have a thing so I can hold it in a drill or driver there. So I have my handy dandy wrister twister here, and it's set on twist your wrist mode. We don't want that because that is also twist off your tap mode. So what we're going to do is we're going to back the clutch off. This clutch is super aggressive, so we're going to back it off to say 7 and try it there. So what essentially I can do, and this is a through hole, which is good for getting this set up. I'm going to line that up in there. It's still twisting my wrist pretty good, so I'm going to back it off a little more. Get down to 5. And see it shudders there instead of breaking your wrist or breaking the tap. Now you got to try pretty hard with a hand drill to break a 3/4 tap, but I would be the guy to do it. Ooh. This drill might not be the drill to do it with. I've also never tapped a hole that big with it. But anyway, you get the gist. Might be a lot more dirt in there than I think there is. Grease helps lubricate it, and if you're working into somewhere where you don't want to drop chips, say you got to work on the top of a transmission like that bulldozer that I have to make a hold down for the gear stick, we're going to use grease when we tap that hold down hole. That way the grease will hold the chips and it won't try to push them down inside the transmission as badly. We'll still put rags down in there, but I'll show you that when we get to that. This normally works on 5/8 11 taps, but I've never used this drill as well, so I may have to use a different drill with a different style clutch on it. But you get the idea. I've heard of guys doing it with an impact. I personally wouldn't want to try it because I've snapped off enough taps in a hole by hand or with a machine to know that it's a bad day when you got to get one out. And if you don't have a Bridgeport and carbide end mill or CNC and carbide end mill, you're gonna have a rough day for the most part. But I'm gonna go through and tap all these holes out, and if I get a better setup that works better, I'll show you what it did. I'm gonna go through and pack the wheel bearings. I'll show you guys that because they don't seem bad, but as many miles as we're gonna do and as many years as this axle has been sitting around, it'd be good to know that they're good. And I'll go through welding these nuts on these studs to get them out as well. So that drill has too many beans. It will break itself or break the tap or break me. That drill doesn't have enough beans for as dirty as these holes are, but we can still utilize that socket by putting it on a ratchet because I don't have a tap wrench handy that's that big, but I got ratchets sitting everywhere. So we can ratchet that down in there, ratchet it back out, or put the drill on it and back it out. And we're gonna work our way through all these holes. Those ones have a lot of dirt in them, so I may find a tap drill size drill or a slightly smaller drill and clean the dirt out of them first before we go running the tap in there. So the wheel bolts in the hub, the wheel bolt holes in the hub, they are 5/8 18. Takes a 3/8 square socket, and I'm able to hold the hub with my leg here, and I have enough drill now that I cleaned the dirt out to run through those holes. I did not have enough drill the first time to go through those holes with 3/4 10, even after I cleaned them out. Second time through, I was able to run them in and out no problem. And I recommend going in them a couple times if you can. Make sure there's no extra stuff left in the holes. Running the grease helps collect the chips. As you can see, there's paint accumulating there that it's catching and gunk. And it also helps to put a little bit of that grease, leave it in the hole. That way they don't get so rusty when there's a bolt in there for, you know, another 20, 30 years. But I'm gonna go through, do those, and then I'm gonna do this wheel bearing, and then I'll have to either steer it or tip it over to do that one. And then there are, I believe, 6 holes, 3 on each side of that that I gotta come up into to tap. So I'll have to tip it over for that. Before I tip it over as well, I'm gonna grease that, and there's grease fittings on the back of the kingpins and any other grease fittings I find. And then I'll tip it over and do the stuff on the back side. So we're gonna need a few basic tools here. Hammer, screwdriver, vice grips. I don't know what size the nut is in there yet. We'll get to that. Some grease. That's, I forget what that is. Is it specialty wheel bearing grease? It's high temperature disc and drum brake wheel bearing grease. This isn't high speed, but it's high weight, I suppose. So these are fairly heavy tractor. So is it gonna work just fine? I sure hope so. You're gonna want some paper towels as well. I've got those sitting on the chair behind me. So we're gonna pop this dust cover off and see what's going on inside. So this was kind of a fight to get off, but essentially stick the screwdriver in, tap it down, pry, turn it 180, pry, and work your way around, maybe 3 or 4 places around there if you have to. I'm glad we're doing this because that's got water in it. Not bad, but that doesn't look real great. See the ball of gunk rolling around in there. It's not good. So we're gonna take that out, clean all that up, put it back in. But the next step is to figure out where the cotter pin is, which it should be right there, which means the end of it would be right there. Here it is. Fold that over. Stab yourself with a screwdriver, whatever you got to do. Preferably don't do that. Throw all your tools on the floor. That always helps. And get that cotter pin straightened out, and we'll get that out of there. Not sure where the other half of that is, if it's bent over, can't see. The nice benefit of doing this before we put it on the tractor is I'm not doing it in a field, first of all. Second of all, it's in the air-conditioned garage, and it's not at the normal wheel angle, so I can actually get to some things here. Okay, I can't film and do this, so I'll catch up with you guys in a second. Okay, cotter pin is out, and as we like to see, that nut is loose. As we like to see, that nut's loose and it's coming right out. I'll take this off, set it on the paper towel over here. We'll pull the hub off and clean all that out. Depending on how bad the grease was how bad I was going to get into this. The grease is pretty bad, so I'm going to tear into this pretty much as far as I can. There we go, there's the outer bearing slid out, and if I keep pulling the hub, it'll pull that off and the hub as well, and I'll get all that apart and cleaned up. There's that. This is my work table for today. There's that. Here's the bearing. Back one's down in there. All that. Now that's all going to get cleaned up. Now you can do this the easy way. You can do this the hard way. I'm going to do this the easy way, because I don't have time to do it the hard way. Well, I got the bearing surfaces cleaned up fairly well. There is a little bit of pitting there that I'm not real thrilled about. We'll wipe them off one more time. There's a lot of grease down in there that isn't great, it isn't terrible. Got this cleaned up good. Again, one more quick wipe on it with some solvent. Bearing looks pretty good. It is a Timken, I figured it would be. Made in the USA. Awesome. Got that mostly cleaned up. Again, I'm going to do one quick wipe on the stuff with some solvent, and then we're going to start slapping grease back in there. I might have to go make some apologies to my trash can, because there was a lot of nastiness down inside there, and there still is. I just can't get my fingers in there to get it out. So we're just going to cover it up with good grease. And that grease is better than the stuff that was out here where the water was getting in around that dust shield. All ready to go back together. Got fresh grease in there. It rolls a little stiffer. I think I got another tooth on the castle nut as well. And I got the grease on that. I'll tap that back in and we'll be sealed up on this side and ready to go to the other side. So I couldn't find any of the other grease guns, but I broke out the air gun. This thing's pretty sweet. I remember when we got this. Other than only being able to use it at the shop, it was pretty handy. It was a lot better than pumping a grease gun. We have the battery one now, but I'm not sure where it is. It might be in one of the trucks, but this one's here. And away we're gonna go here with some grease. Hopefully. Oh yeah. There's that one. I'm not sure if I can get to the ones under here with the rigid snout on it. I'm gonna try. Not holding the camera, I can't. So, next thing, wheel bearing's done. I got all the grease zerks I can get to. I'm gonna pick it up with the skid steer, take it out in the yard, set it down, pick it up from the other side, bring it back in. That way this is facing up because I gotta tap those holes. And I think there's another grease fitting on the back of that trunnion pin. There may be some other ones back there that have to do with the cylinder. I can't really tell. I've never worked on one of these before. So we're gonna see how that's gonna look once we flip it over. That worked much better than expected. Ooh, that one's gonna be bad. It's halfway pushed off already. I basically just picked it up and it wanted to tip over. I'm like, fine, you can tip over because I can work on those there. I think there is a grease zerk there. Yes, it's a 90 one because you won't be able to get to it on the tractor because the oil pan's there if it was a straight one. So there's that. The gentleman was kind enough to cap these off for us so there's no dirt in there, hopefully. It's kind of rusty from sitting in the dirt out there, but you'll have that. I guess there's only 4 holes. I was thinking there was 6. But that one's busted. Let me think about it. No, that one's busted off on the other one. That's where the side got hit. Oh, there's bolt holes down here too I didn't remember about. So I have to clean those out as well. Let's see if there's any grease zerks on. That's rigid where the cylinder mounts. That goes to there. Might be one on this. There's a worm. Get out of there, buddy. That's not a good place for you. You might be fishing bait later. Nate was going to go fishing later. I don't know if he got worms. Oh, there's another one. Come on out of there. Oh, now you're 2. I'm not sure. I think it's just a castle nut. There's some plants. I don't know what those are. Hopefully not a nauseous weed from out there. Yeah, there we go. There's that. I don't think there. Yeah, it's just one on this. Oh, there's a nice mouse house in there. That's fun. Yeah, there we go. Back to it. So I decided to change this fitting out back here because I'm not sure what that is stuck in ball on it, but the ball doesn't look very good. And we had one. So I'm just going to slap that in there. Looks good on the inside. The grease doesn't look half bad in there. Still has some red color to it, but I'm going to go ahead and screw that in. Put some fresh grease in that. And then we can move on to this wheel bearing, which I'm probably going to take the angle grinder and wire wheel all that garbage off so I don't get it down in there. Water came out. That's not good. Oh, and it stinks. Everything looks like it's turning in there. I'm not feeling real good about this, but we may be stealing a hub off the one out there in the woods. We will have to see once I get this part and cleaned up how bad it really is. But it doesn't look good, neither does it smell good. So as I'm cleaning this side up, bad things have happened to this one too. Because there's grinder marks and there's a deep groove, which leads me to believe this one may have done some Dukes of Hazzard stunts and got jumped. They had to weld this back on and remachine it. I'm not I'm not even sure how you would do that other than with an angle grinder, because there's lathe marks on most of it like they're supposed to be, but some of that's angle grinder stuff. So I'm not sure. The other thing I'm not so sure about, there's a lot of nasty grease in there. This front bearing was spinning, right? It spins. Can't make it spin with one hand though. There's still a lot of nastiness in there I gotta get out. This back bearing, no spin. I haven't got it to spin yet anyway. There's also a lot of crunchy stuff in the grease, which might be stopping it. But like, I'm half tempted to go outside and pressure wash that out. I don't have the pressure washer here. So I'm just gonna keep fighting with it. But that's nasty. We might be using the hub off the other tractor. That's bad. That's really bad. I mean, that's... I don't even know what that looks like. Because it's so many nasty things mixed together. But yeah, there's... I don't know, something's not good going on in there. Now there is some different components inside here. There's like 3 ridges, and that might be what I'm seeing that's just been eaten away into this. I'm not sure though. That might be what that is. To me, it doesn't look good, whatever's going on there. It was spinning. I don't know, it really doesn't excite me. Be a lot of work to change out a whole kingpin out there. Unless we bring the whole axle home and do it in here. And then take this fixed one back. Being we probably have to change that cylinder because it looks pretty bad too. The other one might have got bent though. We may not have any cylinders that are good. I don't even know at this point. Guess I'm just going to keep cleaning and hope I can make it do what that one's doing. So, we've got a problem. That back bearing, it'll focus in there. It probably won't. But anyway, it's not spinning, and I cannot make it spin. I tapped on it. I pried against it. I jammed a screwdriver in there to catch the one of the numbers or letters and spun the hub to see if I can get it to break loose. No, it won't break loose. So what we're going to do is our 1370 out there. I'm going to steal a hub off of it for now. And then when we get back with the other axle that's bad, we can steal the hub off of it to put back on the 1370. But right now, I'm going to go jack that up, get some blocks under it, and see if I can get that hub knocked off pretty quick here. Parts acquired. The only difference I can find is this dust cap has a grease zerk, the 2290 one didn't. I'm not as concerned about getting this one perfectly clean because I know both the bearings spin. I know that tractor behaved itself, well, at least the wheels did. And I talked to Dad on the phone. He said that was the best way to deal with that. And as far as this goes, he said once we get the other once we get the 2290 home, we'll swap out either the kingpin or the kingpin and this off the other axle, depending on if the other one's bent. Probably we'll try to do the kingpin only, which will get us a better one of these. But he said that'll work fine as long as the bearing surfaces are good, which they are. But this is what was concerning me in the middle. But bearing surface is good, bearing surface is good. We'll be all right. And I still got to flip it back over and take those studs out over the top and clean those holes out yet. So that got a little more complicated, and I'm at the exact same place I was an hour ago, but at least I know where I am. Just when I started cleaning, I noticed something different. That washer is a little bit bigger than the washer over there. Yeah, so's the bearing. This won't work. I will show you why not. This is the outer bearing. No worky. So we are going to have to steal that 2290 one, but it was worth a try. So I'm going to put this right back together and put it back on that tractor to protect that hub from getting rusty, because someday we're going to find the parts we need to put that back together. If you have a 1370 with a good motor and a good power shift that the tin's bad on, or it has a cab rotted off of it or something, but the drivetrain and engine's still good, we're passively looking for one, because that is a factory open station one with probably a bad crank from a spun rod bearing and a really sketchy power shift that kind of oozes between gears instead of snapping between gears. Darn it, that's not going to work. Alright, I've got as far as I can go as far as the hubs go and the bearings. I've got as far as I can go with the threads, because I'll have to tap, probably should tap out the threads on the hub we're going to put on there. I got all the ones on the subframe done. Next thing is going to be these 4 studs that hold the cooling package on. And I found some more holes. Anyway, I'm going to tap those out. I don't know what they do. They probably hold a little shield on or something. So I'm going to take care of those. When I take care of those, because I think they're the same size. I think they're both 3/8 looking at them. So I'm going to grind these up a little bit so I got some smoother, cleaner metal to go to. I'm going to stick a washer on there. I'm going to stick a 1/2 inch nut on there. It's bigger, so I have more room to put weld in and more room to join them. Less likely to strip a 1/2 inch nut than a 3/8 nut. And I'm going to let them cool for quite some time. Probably this evening and into tomorrow. And I'll monkey with them tomorrow. That should heat and cool that enough that if they're rusted in there, they'll come loose, and make sure they're bonded good